Welcome to Law Talk Today, a series devoted to bringing you informative and educational programs focused on issues of law, government, and community.
Good evening and welcome to Law Talk Today. My name is Mark Gruber. On this show, each week, we interview interesting people, we talk about interesting legal subjects, and I think you'll find it very informative. The show tonight, I think, is something that you need to know. Lawyers get a bad rap by everybody. Although it's kind of funny that everybody wants their kids to become lawyers, but anyway, what you don't know is that there is a bar association in every county comprised of lawyers who do things that you never thought of. Tonight's show is about the Morris County Bar Association, and our guests are Alan Iskra, who's the president at the current time.
Good evening, Mark.
Good evening. And Nancy Bangiola, the executive director of the Morris County Bar, and Nancy is also an attorney. So welcome both.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for being here.
Great to be here.
Now, you know, I went on the website and there was a, I guess you might say, the objectives, all right? And I just want to read these, and I don't usually read stuff, but this was interesting. The objectives of the Morris County Bar Association: to maintain the honor and dignity of the profession of law, to promote an understanding of the law and its application in society, to foster the due administration of justice, and to promote the capacity of the bar for public service, particularly the provision of pro bono legal services in appropriate cases. That's your mission statement, so to speak, right?
That's right.
All right,
Correct.
let's start out. Nancy, let me just, because you're the executive director, let me just ask you generally, tell us about the composition of the Bar Association in Morris and its members, your staffing, some of that stuff.
Sure. Okay. Well, our offices are located in Morristown. You may know that. They're on South Street, 245 South Street in Morristown. We're a little further away from the courthouse than we used to be, but it's a bigger space for us and a little more airy space for us. It's working very well. We have 3 staff in our office: myself, Sheila Johnson, who is my assistant and right-hand man, if you will, and Urelis Perez, who runs our LRS.
LRS being Lawyer Referral Service.
Correct.
Okay.
We have 1,200 members about in our membership in all parts of the county, and we have a board of I think it's 21 of us altogether, counting myself as I'm a non-voting member of the board, who serve in various capacities as trustees, and a committee list of over 24 active committees in various areas of practice.
Pretty busy office, I would imagine, right?
It is.
And that's because you've got so many different programs going on for a relatively small county and relatively small bar association. I'm just amazed at all the things that you do. It's just wonderful. You have a monthly newsletter. You called it, it's really an email
Right.
newsletter. Just describe that for us.
Sure. It's really become or grown into an newsletter, and it's something that really over the last 2 years we're playing with in terms of finding out what best serves our membership and what mode of communication they prefer. The younger members are very accustomed to email, websites, and electronic communication in general, but some of our older members and practitioners who have been around a while prefer things in writing. So you may see a revival of our written newspaper or newsletter next year in Mark Wexler's year.
Right. It's so much less expensive email, right?
It
than
is.
Publishing all
It
that
is.
stuff. Every group I'm a member of now did away with the paper. It's all electronic. Alan, I don't want to leave you out of this discussion. I'm sorry, but she's been, in this organization for a while and knows what's going on. What prompted you to become the president of this association?
Well, years ago, the way our bylaws provide is we have, as Nancy mentioned, a full complement of trustees. And a number of years ago, I became very, very interested in becoming actively involved in the organization from the point of leadership. I was fortunate enough to be selected as a trustee, and the trustees serve 2-year terms, and generally they're eligible to serve another 2 years for a total of 4 years. I was fortunate enough to be selected a number of years ago as a trustee, served 2 years, and reapplied to serve another 2 years as trustee. Fortunately, was reappointed, if you will. And at the end of the 4 years of being a trustee, I decided I wanted to continue in the organization, and the next step became then applying for the position of secretary. And there were a number of people who applied. There was a committee under our bylaws that interviewed the prospective new secretaries. I was fortunate enough to be selected as a secretary and have, as a result, under our bylaws, moved up the ladder
Right.
to the presidency, which I assumed at the beginning of this year.
Okay. Now, I'm going to save your mission statement for the end of this discussion, but in the bar in Morris, what's the favorite thing that you're doing there right now as president?
Well, I think the favorite thing, because I feel it's the most worthwhile thing, is the community outreach programs that we've instituted, as well as a mentoring program for, I'm not going to limit it to younger attorneys, because there are many attorneys that, as you know, Mark, don't go to law school right after college. Later in life, they go to law school, graduate, and they're just as much young practitioners as if they went to law school right after college. So the less experienced attorneys, sometimes they feel they have no place to turn. It's a learning experience, and we've developed a mentor program where experienced attorneys have volunteered to mentor less experienced attorneys, someone that they can call upon to ask questions, discuss cases, strategy, whatever the case might be. And then community outreach. We recently did a program in Dover with MACOA, which is the Spanish Latino organization for Morris County. We did a joint program with them in Dover for the Hispanic community to talk about the areas of law that were most important to them. And we found, as a result of taking a survey with MACOA's clients, that they were interested in hearing about immigration law, family law, criminal municipal court procedures, taxation, bankruptcy, and landlord-tenant. And we had well over 15 attorneys participate in a program which included the attendees could come up and ask those lawyers in their particular specialty questions about the law, questions about particular issues that they may affect them personally. So this community outreach is something also that I find very, very worthwhile and very interesting.
While we're on the subject of outreach, there are some other outreach programs. It's the self-help litigants program, something new, right?
Something new. One of the things that, tying into what I just mentioned, is we have a very, very close association with our Morris County bench, beginning with our assignment judge, Judge Weisenbeck. And in fact, when I served as a trustee, Judge Weisenbeck had been in private practice and was a fellow trustee. So I came to know Judge Weisenbeck very well when he was a trustee along with myself. And subsequently, of course, he became a Superior Court judge, and last year assumed the duties of assignment judge. And Judge Weisenbeck has always felt that there should be a close association between the bench here in Morris County and the Bar Association. And certainly I, as president, and the officers, as well as the trustees, as well as all the members of the Bar Association, feel that it is in everyone's best interest to have a close association with our bench. And Judge Weisenbeck last year, towards the end of the year, reached out to us to work with us and ask us would we be willing to, and of course we said yes, to develop with Judge Weisenbeck and the Morris County Court's ombudsperson a program for people who do not have representation, who come to the courthouse. For example, the program has been instituted in the family law area, and who want to, because they don't have an attorney, fill out paperwork to file motions, to file complaints for divorce, those types of things. And the court staff was just overwhelmed with the number of people who needed assistance. Judge Weisenbeck reached out to us. A program was put together which was implemented and began in February, where
Right.
we have volunteer attorneys in the family law area that staff the courthouse and are available for self-represented litigants to answer procedural questions. How do you file a motion? How do you fill out the forms?
Now, if somebody's interested in that, how do they find their way to this program?
Well, they're at the courthouse itself,
Right.
okay? There's information available about the program, certainly by contacting the Bar Association, either by telephone or website. We have a website, a tremendous website.
MorrisCountyBar.com, right?
Although, if I can say, really the best way for a litigant to get the help that they're looking for is to start at the courthouse. There are forms available, and really all they have to do is take a look at the simple forms,
Right.
agree to some of the things that we've set forth. For instance, there's no substantive advice given, only procedural advice,
Right.
So that papers are properly filed. Appointments are limited to a half an hour. They're on Tuesday morning and Wednesday nights. And they can sign up for those appointments, and usually that appointment will occur the next week. And there's an understanding that they're not retaining the lawyer they're meeting with, or just getting some procedural insight into how to get their papers before the court properly.
What's been the feedback on the program from the litigants?
Well, from the start of the program, and it was implemented, as I said, in February, so we're about 5 months in the program, the feedback has been positive. It's been positive not only from the litigants, but from the court staff, the ombudsperson's office. Judge Weisenbeck, I think, is very, very happy with the program. And I say that because we're going to step two. Step two being the program is going to be expanded into the civil litigation, civil actions, the lawsuits for self-represented
Right.
individuals.
Like landlord, tenant, small claims?
Those types of things.
Things like that nature?
The only thing that really would be missing would be the criminal area as well as the chancery
Right.
division. So the fact that the program seems to be working very well, we're ready to expand it, and hopefully that will occur sometime in September or shortly thereafter.
Let's go to some other areas where you're out there in the community. The biannual Young Lawyer Mock Trial Competition, right? Now that's for other firms, correct?
Right.
That's
Firms, and many times the larger firms here in Morris County, their younger attorneys don't get any or very little courtroom experience. And we have had a program, as you mentioned, biannually, where we run a competition. And lawyers, and I volunteer serve as judges. A number of the larger firms have their younger lawyers participate in a scripted, if you will, case scenario. They serve as plaintiff's attorney, defense attorneys, they provide the witnesses, and they conduct a trial. And as I said, a volunteer lawyer or even one of our Superior Court judges will volunteer to judge the competition. And there is a competition where somebody will be declared a winner, if you will. But that's not the purpose of the program as to which firms lawyers win, is for those lawyers, those young lawyers, to get experience of how to try a case, how to question witnesses. And it's a very, very useful and helpful tool for young lawyers to get experience.
Yeah, totally different than law school, because you're really out and in among practicing trial attorneys, and that's a valuable experience for a young attorney. Now, let's extend that even further out into the community. You have mock competition, trial competitions for high school, right?
That's correct, and that's a program that was instituted by the New Jersey State Bar quite a number of years ago. I think the program is at least 20 years old. Every year it's open to, first of all counties, and it's run through the County Bar Association. And any high school within the county can enter the competition. And we've had, throughout the years, because I've been involved as a volunteer judge in the competition for well over 15 years, and many of the high schools participate, both the public and the private schools, and they have a teacher within that school who serves as a coach. They also have a lawyer, a volunteer lawyer, who is their legal advisor. A trial is conducted. The yearly competition, one year it'll be a civil case, the next year it'll be a criminal case. The State Bar puts out a mock trial. The students spend a lot of time in preparation for the competition, and there are quarterfinals, finals, and then the final competition between the last two schools is traditionally judged by our assignment judge, who will declare a winner, and then they go to state competition.
So all the counties, most of the counties have this, and they all...
And they all participate, and it's the same case that all the counties are involved in. And the state winner will go to a national competition. A few years ago, West Morris Mendham High School not only won the Morris County competition, they won the state competition and went to the national finals, and I believe they while they didn't win, they came in second or third place at the nationals.
Yeah. What a great program. I remember years ago, I was the advisor for the Hopatcong School District, which is where my office is. And I worked with somebody in the school, the advisor that was running it there, and we would meet at least once, maybe twice a week. And as the competition got closer, maybe a little bit more. And to watch these young children, these high school students, work their way up and build their confidence and then get to that competition. These are future attorneys, which, what a great program.
Well, they're always so impressive.
The interesting thing I found out, because when I've served as judge, as long as I've served as judge through the years, after the competition, you know, there's feedback between the students and advisors and the judges. And one of the things that I always want to find out is the competitors, the students involved. You have two plaintiffs' attorneys or two prosecutors if it's a criminal case, two defense attorneys, and then you have 3 or 4 witnesses. And they rotate the roles depending on the level of competition they're at. And I always seem to inquire how many of the students participating are future lawyers. And I'm sort of surprised to find out that there aren't that many, at least at this high school level, most of whom are juniors and seniors, but they want the experience. They love the fact that they can stand up, in this case in a courtroom. Granted, it's not before a real judge, unless one of our Superior Court judges, and you know, present a case no matter what role they're playing. And it's certainly a self-confidence builder for them, you know, no matter what type of profession or work they'll go into in the future. We've had a number, I've come to find out, where lawyers' daughters and sons have participated in the program.
Yeah, wonderful. Let's go out into the community a little bit more. You have a speakers bureau, right? And if somebody is looking for a speaker on a various subject, they can contact, I guess, Nancy or somebody in your office. Right. And I gather you have a list of lawyers that'll talk. Lawyers will talk about anything, let's face it.
That's right.
Right, Alan?
No question.
That's right.
So they can contact you, and what sort of subjects would they range from?
You know, probably the most common subject that people are looking for are issues concerning the elderly. You know, Medicaid, Medicare concerns, advanced directives, what does that really look like? Who should I see? And again, they're not asking for specific legal advice, but they'd love someone to come to their afternoon church group and give some sort of talk or information about just general questions and things they should be aware of. That's a very common request.
And I guess if somebody were to call with a topic you haven't had, what would you float an email out to your group and say, does anybody want to do this?
We have folks that are at the ready. I was just thinking that as you were kind of discussing the multitude of things that happen in the office. And I would be remiss and it would be wrong for me to suggest that I do a lot of that, all of that, or most of that. That gets done by that whole group of trustees and whole group of committee chairs that work very hard in all of these areas to provide these services. I can call any one of those people on any given day and say, can you help me with this project? The answer is always yes, and the work is always excellent. It's just a tremendous group to work with.
Can we put the phone number up on the board here on the TV? What is it?
973-267-6089.
6089. And again, the website?
Our website is morriscountybar.com. That's all one word, no caps.
Very good. Jersey Battered Women's Service, part of your pro bono approach. Again, getting lawyers out in the community. You want to describe that, Alan?
Sure. Bob Hollingshead, who is one of our former presidents and who is very, very active in our association, and one of the areas that he is very active in is he works with the Jersey Battered Women's Shelter to provide lawyers, and that we have a tremendous number of volunteer lawyers who will assist these individuals who have or are about to obtain restraining orders against, if it's their spouse, significant other, or whatever the case might be. And these volunteer attorneys, as you know, being a family law practitioners, will represent these victims of abuse at the final restraining order, where testimony needs to be taken, and the judge who is hearing the matter must decide whether or not there's sufficient evidence to obtain a final restraining order. And we have a number of volunteer lawyers, as I said, who have volunteered their time to represent individuals from the Jersey Battered Women's Shelter who either cannot afford an attorney or for whatever other reason are seeking the assistance of these volunteer attorneys. And Bob really started the program years ago and does training sessions for the attorneys who are volunteers, the new attorneys that are volunteers, training sessions as to, you know, how to conduct a hearing, what to do in terms of putting your client on the stand, cross-examining the other party if that party were to take the stand, things of that nature. And it's something that, you know, I'm proud of to say that I'm the president of an organization that offers this service.
Guys, great program. Let's talk about the referral service. That's probably one of the, I think one of, I don't say larger programs, but something that gets really helpful to the community. Nancy?
Absolutely.
Can you describe that?
Sure. So any one of our members of the Bar Association can join the lawyer referral service for a fee, for $200 a year. And they sign on and they give us up to 3 areas of expertise in their practice. We maintain a list of those attorneys. We maintain and have evidence of their malpractice insurance policy on our files. And we have information so that people can contact them. So that if members of the public, as they do daily, call our office seeking an attorney in a given practice area, we can give them up to 3 names pretty close to their home or where they need the assistance. And they can talk to them for a reduced counsel fee for a half an hour, get a feel for where their case might be going and what they need.
I participated in that program, I think, a month after I became a lawyer. And it's a great experience for me, great experience for the clients. It's not just young attorneys.
No.
You'll have attorneys that have a lot of experience that are available to the public, and you know, the Bar Association keeps that list, and anybody can call and get referrals.
And it's every level of experience
Right.
for lawyers, and it's also kind of every size of firm. We have members who are part of very large firms who are members of the lawyer referral service, solo practitioners, mid-sized firms, and in every specialty.
We have just a couple of minutes left here, and I don't want to leave without talking about the foundation.
Okay.
Okay, Alan?
Yes, we have an organization called the Morris County Bar Foundation. I refer to it as the charitable arm, if you will, of the Bar Association. And the foundation is involved in tremendous amount of fundraising. We have, that is the foundation, and the way our bylaws are set up, as I mentioned earlier about going up the ladder to become, as I am now, the president. 2 years before that, I was president of the foundation. And presently, John Robertson, an attorney in Morristown, is the current president of the foundation. And the foundation, at this time and for a number of years, has had 2 major fundraisers. The Lawyers for 5K, which is coming up in July, in a very short time, where it is a 5K run and walk, where we raise money. And Bill Crace, who was a former president, really instituted this. It was his idea, and he put it together about 7 or 8 years ago, and it's been an annual event, and Bill spends a lot of time with his committee running this event every year. It's run out of Morris Township. We raise, that is the foundation, quite a bit of money, and then our golf outing, which is traditionally held and again will be held in July, is another major fundraiser for the foundation. Now, where does the money go?
Well, before you go, you have just attorneys and firms contributing to the foundation outside of these fundraisers, correct?
True.
So,
True.
and it's probably a large amount of money that's been raised so far, I would think.
Well, I'd like to offer, it's not so much the amount of money that gets raised just in the general sort of pool, but important to note that it's almost 100% participation by our members. As part of your annual dues, you actually make a donation to the foundation.
Right.
And almost every member, I
Yeah.
can almost count on my hands those who don't,
Yeah.
almost every member does that.
And
And
where
some do more generously.
And where does that money go?
Well, I also want to point out that it's not only lawyers, it's outside non-lawyer companies and firms and professionals that sponsor these events, and we have different levels of sponsorship that organizations are free, and quite a bit of money is raised through these sponsors. Where does money go? Well, the money will end up going to not-for-profit corporations that have an association somewhat with the law. For example, the 5K is sponsored in conjunction with CASA, which is the Court-Appointed Special Advocates organization. Money goes to them.
It goes to pretty much local
Charities.
that touch the legal arena, the legal community.
That's right.
Correct. Legal aid, for example, has traditionally been a recipient of a grant from the foundation.
Alan, we have probably less than a minute to go here, and I promised you that I would let you, as president, give your message to everybody that's watching this. So, as the president, what's your message? What do you want to get out there?
I guess my message, I think, concisely goes back to the message I delivered in January at my installation dinner, and that is, we as an organization, outreach to the community, which we talked about a number of outreach programs that we presently have in place, as well as you pointed out earlier, lawyers have generally not the best of reputations. That we have to, as a bar association, get the message out through publicity, through the media, that lawyers do serve the community, do so much pro bono work. That, perhaps if we changed the reputation in one person's mind who thought that lawyers are not very honest, hardworking people and they're only out to make a buck, if we can change that in one person's mind, wherever it might be, we've accomplished something.
Now that's a great message. We're out of time. Alan Iskra, Nancy Bangiola, thank you for being here.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks for having us.
We've just learned about the Morris County Bar Association. I'm Mark Gruber. This is Law Talk Today. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.